Welcome to Autocar Professional. This is Mukul Yudhvir Singh, and today we're talking about software defined vehicles, known to most of us as SDVs. The question today is, are SDVs only a buzzword, or is the concept of SDVs become a necessity? To talk to us about the same, we have Dr. Matthias Traub, who is CEO for Vector Global. Matthias, welcome to Autocar Professional. And please start by telling us your views on SDVs, how you see India versus the rest of the world when it comes to SDVs.
Now, first of all, also thank you for having me, Mukul. It's really a pleasure that we spend some time today to talk about SDV and beyond. So AI is rising up more and more, and I think this is a good chance to give here an overview to the audience.
Interesting. You're one of the first few pioneers of SDVs in the world. This very concept, right? If I talk to a majority of people out there, and if we go back in time only 10 years, a lot of people would still not know what SDVs are. What, according to you, Matthias, has changed in this decade that we are not now talking more SDVs and less engines and less powertrain?
Yeah, so for me, software has become the primary value driver for the automotive industry, but also in a lot of other markets. So the driver in the up to now was the CE world. Now the customers are used to have seamless software updates, always new functionalities available, and this is also be a key success factor for the automotive industry. And products evolve into interconnected systems, and this is, as I said, not only part of the automotive market, also avionics, defense, railway, and so forth. And nowadays, AI significantly accelerate development speed and scale. So here we have also take a look in our discussion, I think. And the core task at the end is to manage such kind of complex software-driven systems for the OEM, speaking for automotive, but also together with their suppliers and engineering partners.
Interesting. There used to be a time, Matthias, when software was only seen as a supporting element. But today, it's the main driving factor for products. And in automotive, especially, it is one of the biggest driving factors, right? Do you think this is because the new generation wants more features, or are the reasons beyond features?
No, it's both. So for sure, the expectation to have every time the new feature at the end is also talking about robustness. Every one of us know you have to have bug fixes, security updates, and topics like this also in mind. And especially when we are talking about regulated markets with additional safety requirements like what we have in place in automotive. From a industrial perspective, the differentiation shifts from a hardware to more software capabilities, and more these capabilities are enabled by AI. So as I said, long-term product life cycles requires continuous software responsibility. So the companies have to think about how their organizations look like in the near future to handle these kind of questions. And the software determines especially adaptability, speed, and ensures long-term competitiveness especially.
Interesting. What you just told us is very deep. But when we look at the traditional way of, including technology in the automotive domain, whether it's manufacturing,
Yeah,
whether it's a business, or whether it's a vehicle, uh, it has been more led by a, tool-based, platform-based approach,
yeah, that's
wherein the software is more of an ecosystem approach. How is that differentiating the ball game altogether?
yeah. So for me, at the end, to have a real software ecosystem in place, this is at the end the core benefit and the robust foundation to develop software-driven applications. And therefore, we have to integrate architecture, tool chains, having safety, security in mind, and also step by step the enabled functionalities. And the focus must lie on end-to-end consistency instead of isolated optimizations like in the past. So this is also a question about how the organizations in the companies look like. And with that scalability, we had a lot of discussions, also Vector internally, when we started our strategy program last year, that we said, okay, we have to help and offer our software knowledge, what we have in-house to develop our products for tooling and for the software stacks, also to our customers. So our idea is to become more and more a SDV solution partner on eye level with our customers instead of only to deliver single products to them.
Interesting. When we talk of India's automotive ecosystem, we have very humble two-wheelers on the road here, to some four-wheelers and commercial vehicles
Yeah.
that are defining the markets internationally as well. But now when software comes into picture, right, automotive is, as a domain, is something where we are seeing a lot of uptick in software defined systems. I mean, if I look at India or the rest of the world, I can easily say that software today is automotive. A software defined system today is synonymous to the automotive world. Why is it that the automotive, if I may say so, is at the center of this software defined systems revolution?
Yeah, so from my point of view, the automotive area is the most complex, has the most complex system in place compared to the other industries. So we have to deal with a lot of different sensor actuators for the ADAS system, radar, cameras, and so forth, or for the engine topics for both solutions for EV and also the ICE topics. And therefore, software must be really maintainable, updatable for many years. So the cars are long-term on the road. So a long-term life cycle management is also one of the key assets what you have to establish in your company. Then you have to deal with safety and security. This is not the case when we are talking about CE devices and stuff like that. And currently, many players have fragmented tool sets. This slows down the development. So you need a really smooth and seamless development framework in place. And this is the key what ecosystems are offering. And they offers reproducibility and trust. And it allows companies to focus on differentiation topics, so the application level. So the end customer have to be in focus from an OEM perspective. And this is our ambition from Vector side, to offer a robust foundation so that our partners and customers can take a look on what matters most to their end customers. And these are new features where the customer says, hey, cool car, I want to have it. This updatability works every time and so on. And the other stuff behind the scenes, we can do it. And it is not the key task for the OEMs.
Interesting, Matthias. I love the way you said, "I want this cool car." But focusing on India now and peeling
Yeah.
the question I asked to one layer deeper, right? Uh, we've been speaking about software defined vehicles for the past 5 6 years, and in the last 2 years, uh, we've spoken about it at almost every event and every CEO CXO we speak to. SDVs are mentioned more than anything. But the reality on road is
Yeah.
that we still seem far away from a real SDV on road in India. Are there any structural changes that you would want to suggest for bringing in a real SDV, and not just a proto or a concept? Something that is commercial and mass market?
Yes, so as you said, the SDV word, the buzzword, is already long term on stage, and at the end, it's a combination of to have the right technology in place, to have the right skill set in place, and also there is a need on to take a look on the organizational structure in-house in the company, but also in the interaction between OEMs and their suppliers, because at the end, the result counts. In former times, also when I thinking back my jobs at different OEMs in Germany, there was a role model established. Okay, I'm the OEM. I ask what I want to need from the tier one, and then I argue always and push them forward. Nowadays, we have more work on eye level, where mixed teams from suppliers, engineering companies, and OEMs have to sit together and take a look on to solve the problem and not to argue against each other. And this is also some kind of a mind shift what we have to establish from a leadership perspective in the automotive community.
Interesting. I was going to ask you that as my next question.
Yeah.
How does the relationship between now all the vendors, the OEM, and everyone in the ecosystem players should change now? You've already answered that. But before we move to our next segment, which is around ADAS, I would want to know from you. Eh, there's one more term that we're talking about a lot today, which is AI,
Yeah.
artificial intelligence,
Right.
right? How do you see these two terms, SDVs and AI, emerging?
Yeah. So first, you have to, as I said, to change your organization, your workflow from a classic V model, so always handing over requirements and more step-by-step waterfall-based model, to real DevOps approach, where you have at the end a real agile and continuous integration possibility and software development possibility. This is the key success factor and the base at the end, also to use AI, not only from a local optimization perspective, because at the end, when you are introducing real agentic-driven workflows, it's an end-to-end journey. So you have to take a look on the whole system, and then you have to think about where can I introduce AI support, where it's still needed that a human take a look with his expertise, make a review, or especially at the beginning, that the system and software engineers make the right input so that the agents work in the right way and producing the right results. And especially nowadays, there's a lot of hallucination of the AI stuff. So therefore, you need really experienced people. And this is also something what we have to need in mind. In former times or up to now, we introduced software guys, and the key skill was to write code. And now this is done by the agents more and more. So the skill set have to be changed from a more code-oriented software developer to a more software developer with systems expertise, with the knowledge how he has to write the requirements, and also the capabilities to review what the agents have produced. So they still need the knowledge of the underlying software and understanding the code, but the writing is no longer the key task for them. And this is, I think, also a very important thing what we have to have in mind when we are changing the organizations, and also thinking about what are the right upskilling programs for our teams.
Interesting. Now, speaking of systems, right? The closest system, or the system that I have and a lot of other Indians have experienced a lot lately, is ADAS, right?
Yeah.
Now, before I ask you this question, in my when I was young, when I was just starting in journalism, and I got to speak to, I got lucky to speak to this Apple India, a very senior guy, and I asked him, and at that was a time was Apple was not as established in India as it is today, and he was one of the key people who did that. So I asked him, how did you do that? What was your approach? He told me a very simple thing. At that point in time, India used to have 29 states. He said, I never looked at India as one country. I looked at India as 29 different countries. 29 states, 29 different countries, and that strategy worked for him. Now, for ADAS, right, a lot of organizations will come in, they've tried and they've failed.
Yeah.
Some have succeeded. But ADAS in India still remains a challenge unsolved. Why do you think in India it is still unsolved? Is it because, as a lot of people say, that the roads are not marked properly, the lanes are not marked properly, the people come in from any directions? Is it that, or do you see some other challenge for ADAS in India?
But the first point, what you have mentioned, is still a challenge. So from a technological perspective, because at the end, for sure, it's possible with many sensors in the car, with 360-degree perception. You can step by step build some kind of a, I call it swarm assistant, that the car don't need the clear road lines and stuff like that. But at the end, also the cost is a factor. So at the moment, it's still also not only in India, the companies are struggling, going from level 2 up to level 3, 4 to more automation, not only from a technological perspective. It's more the cost, so the number of sensors which are needed, the compute performance inside the car, and stuff like that. And this is at the end currently the key challenge, to have the right system approach towards the customer, that the customer says, hey, this is cool. But on the other hand, he has also the right price to pay this for the car. And this is currently, I think, the key challenge for the whole automotive community, and especially also for India. Yeah.
Interesting. Then, if we speak of integrated tool chains, virtual validation,
Yeah.
simulation, and similar
Yeah.
tools, do you see them fitting India, especially for the development of ADAS and other autonomous technologies?
Yes, yes. So I think this is one of the key success factor at the end for developing robust ADAS system, because you can't use only physical testing alone for scale. So here you have to take into account how you can generate with scenarios millions of kilometers to validate your system behavior. And here also AI plays a more and more important role from a development perspective on one hand, but on the other hand also from the algorithm and functional perspective in the car. And here continuous validation is required throughout the whole development cycle. And therefore toolchain integration ensures traceability and at the end the consistency to validate the ADAS system. And this is part of our software factory now, where we are enabling fast development cycles, is because this counts at the end, that the engineer gets very fast feedback what he have implemented. Does it works? First on a virtualized level, and then step by step on a hill system, so hardware in the loop, and then in a testing car and stuff like that. And this can be further accelerated with underlying AI-enabled workflows.
Interesting. Thank you for bringing in AI, because we're talking about safety critical systems, and we've just mentioned all the softwares and simulations that can be used. But if you could highlight further the use of and how to use artificial intelligence in development of safety critical systems, especially from the automotive lens.
Yeah, so as I said, we have the two areas. On one in the car or in the system itself, and on the other hand, in the development, in your development workflow. So AI accelerates perception and the decision making in the when you have the trajectory planning and topics like that. And on the other hand, you have the fast development, a broader functional scope, what you can handle as an engineer. So you have not to be focused only on a smaller part of the whole functionality. You can deal always with the complete value chain. And this introduces for sure also challenges in context of explainability and verification at the end. So that you have the right understanding about if are the safety requirements reproducible and auditable at the end. This is very important here in this area.
Trust, validation, and transparency. These are the things that immediately pop up in my mind when you just answered the question. And these three terms also pop up in the mind because, there are people complaining all over the world that there are times when AI hallucinates.
Yeah.
And you would agree to this, right? But in automotive system, that hallucination would can lead to a lot of fatal errors,
Yeah.
right? So my question is, are these three terms, trust, transparency, and validation, the most important terms while bringing in AI for building systems?
For sure, yes. So safety critical systems must be end certifiable. So we know it from the avionics, but also in automotive. So the autopilot of an aircraft have to be safe, and the same is in the automotive world. So here we have regulations, and we need a traceable development process so that we understand what is made and how. And engineers and also the customers at the end need trust in the AI generated results. And so no black box behavior can be implemented. You need the full transparency at the end. And this is also why I said the software engineer needs nowadays with the AI still a good knowledge about what is generated, what is implemented, and it fulfills the right standards. For example, considering safety or also the security topics. And therefore, for me, ecosystem approach is really the key success factor, because with that you have at the end the underlying foundation to have the end-to-end traceability in place, and not so many different puzzle pieces where you have handovers where it is not clear how information is transferred and stuff like that.
Interesting. Matthias, we know that you're a busy man, and thank you for giving us this time. But
Thank you for having me.
last 3, 4 questions,
Yeah.
and let's now focus a little bit on the supplier ecosystem.
Yeah.
You're one of those companies which is not only working with OEMs in the automotive space or tier ones in the automotive space, but you're also working with semiconductor companies. You're also working with technology companies,
Yeah.
right? How, according to you, does the growing role of semiconductor and technology companies now change the automotive ecosystem entirely? And I also ask this because, as I said earlier, you're also in the middle of that conversation.
Yeah, that's true. And starting with the chip makers, so they are increasingly delivering some kind of system level solutions, especially in the ADAS area. And therefore, the traditional OEMs and tier one relationships are changing. This is also speaking for Vector. For us as a big chance, we as a also technology company come there in a direct contact with the OEMs to help them to build up their software competencies, ensure a good integration on eye level, and also in the interaction with the other technology players. So for me, partnerships are becoming more important for us. So we are in direct interaction with the semiconductor players, bringing our software platform on top of their chips, and then we can do some kind of pre-integration, and then we can go with that to the OEMs, and they have already something in place which is running on a foundational level. So talking about communication, security, updatability, and so on. And this enables at the end our customers to be faster with their product ideas, with the features which are relevant to their end customers, that they have faster SOPs, they can speed up their development and establish the so-called China speed around the world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what is the ideal role a software ecosystem provider
Yeah.
should play when it comes to OEMs, tier ones, and technology companies? What is the ideal role according to you?
The ideal role is that we are in a direct interaction. So for me, one pivotal solution is our collaboration with Mercedes, for example, or speaking for the Indian market with Mahindra, where we are really in close contact, not only providing stacks and tools. So our engineers are really together, sitting together with the engineering teams of Mercedes, developing the foundational software platform for them, for MBOS, for example, and making the integration on the ECU together with the applications. And this is, for me, the role model where we are working on currently. And an additional point is providing a stable and integrated tool chain. So the change, what I said, from a V model to a more DevOps-driven approach with more code-centric setup, so that the agents can work on. Former times you had the GUI-based tools and so on, and now it's more headless solution, so that you can here have more automation in place. And at the end, it's some kind of co-creation, what makes us successful as automotive community.
When I talk about, or when we think of the next generation of vehicles and systems, is there an overarching goal for software systems that you would want to put on the table today?
For sure. So for me, it's making the complexity manageable for us as a provider, and also for the OEM at the end. Then ensure long-term safety, security, and updatability, especially have fast innovation cycles established in the whole value chain, so that we have really the experience what is already available in the CE world. Then establish a future-proof development environment, and this is where we as Vector working on. And for me, this is the summary. So the DNA of future mobility is software-driven and an AI-enabled, and Vector DNA is software.
Perfect. One last question,
Yeah.
Matthias. 5 years from today, if we were to repeat the conversation that we just had, where do you think India would be in terms of SDVs?
So my vision is, especially if figuring out my last 4 days here in India, together with Brahma, our local president here, and his team, in all the discussions what I had with our appreciated customers, that we have the same speed, the same working environment what Germany and China, US have established, so that Indian is on eye level, also a key player when we are talking about software-defined or AI-defined mobility in the world.
Perfect. Thank you for talking to us, Matthias. So that was Dr. Traub on software-defined systems and AI-defined systems. And as he said, his wish list for the next 5 years for India is for the India's automotive ecosystem to evolve and work at the eye level with China and Germany. This is Mukul Udvir Singh signing off for Autocar Professional.